Another week, another batch of eShop deals, and this one's a good one. As always, I'm going to be covering the US, Canada, UK, Europe, and Australia, and there are some really solid offers in here, talking deep discounts and new lows, the whole lot. But a quick heads up before we do dive in. Most of these deals end in the next 3 to 4 days, and the reason's obvious. The Black Friday eShop sale, it's about to hit. It should go live pretty much any moment now, and it is usually the biggest sale of the entire year. So if there's something here you really want, I'd say grab it, but just know that even bigger discounts are almost certainly around the corner. Still though, look, I've got 13 picks today that I think are absolutely worth your cash. Now, if you do enjoy this video today, do me a favor and subscribe. That helps out the channel a huge amount. And remember to enter our giveaway. Now, we do this every single week. You drop a comment below, and next Saturday, I'll draw 2 winners for 2 $10 eShop gift cards. Last week's winners coming up later in this one. Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake is 40% off, matching the low price, and with the recent release of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 in this same style, I think now is absolutely the time to jump in. Now, just a quick heads up, if you are new to the series, this is actually where that story begins chronologically. So even though 3 released last year and 1 and 2 arrived only a few weeks ago, starting here, it makes the most sense narratively. You know, it's the beginning of the Erdrick line, the hero whose name basically echoes through the entire trilogy. And in this one, you're playing as the young hero. His father has vanished after setting out to defeat a demon lord. Now, on your 16th birthday, you've basically set out to continue his mission, and that's really the heart of this journey. It's traveling across a classic fantasy world, gathering companions, and stepping into that Erdrick legacy. It is simple, but honestly, it works beautifully. Now, on the tech side, good news as well for Switch 2 players. It received a free upgrade, so you're basically getting cleaner visuals, sharper environments, and then it also adds both quality and performance modes. Now, quality, it targets 4K at 30 FPS, while performance drops that resolution. You'll see a bit of blur there, there's no question about that, but it pushes you to a much smoother 60 FPS. And for me personally, that was the winner. But yeah, overall, a great entry point, a great discount, and yeah, a great excuse to start the trilogy that basically defined a genre. Aragami Shadow Edition is 85% off a new low price, and this one's absolutely for the stealth fans out there. We don't see too many pure stealth-focused games anymore, so when a good one comes along, you have to pay attention. This one though, third-person stealth adventure. You play as an Aragami. That's an undead assassin brought back to life with the power to control shadows. And that's really the core mechanic here. Shadows are your playground. You can teleport between them, hide within them, and use them to summon weapons or even create diversions. It's really all about staying unseen, picking your moment, and slipping through tight security without ever being detected. The story as well, surprisingly solid. You're summoned by a girl who's being held prisoner inside this heavily guarded fortress, and your entire mission really revolves around rescuing her and uncovering the truth behind your existence. So yeah, there's a supernatural angle to this game, and I think it's really well done. It never gets in the way of what makes the game shine, however, which is kind of quiet, methodical stealth. It also then includes all the DLC, and yeah, I think it's just a great price for a great game. Valfaris Mecha Therion is 75% off a new low price, and this one only released late last year. It's been on sale a few times, but the drops, they're steep, and this is the best discount yet. Now, if you played the first game, that was a brutal, ultra-violent action platformer. This sequel switches things up entirely. It's a full side-scrolling shoot-'em-up with this 2.5D visual style, and like honestly, it's a really solid evolution for the series. It actually kind of makes sense. The setup though is simple enough. After escaping Valfaris in that first experience, you're now chasing down the evil Lord Thrall. You're basically taking the fight directly to him across a whole selection of hostile worlds. The story, look, it's not the main draw, but it does just enough to keep things moving. Where this one shines though is the actual gameplay, the flying, the gunplay, all the mech customization. You've got a huge range of weapons from melee options to full screen wiping firepower, and then you can configure your mech in all sorts of different ways dependent on how you want to play. It is tough too, the kind of game where learning enemy patterns and upgrading smartly, that makes a huge difference. On top of all of that then, of course, an incredible heavy metal soundtrack. Undying is 20% off a new low price, and this is actually the game's first ever sale since it released all the way back in February, so it's great to see it finally on discount. It's a really unique survival experience as well. It's basically this action-adventure style zombie game, but it's one that puts more weight on the emotional stakes than the usual genre tropes. The setup as well, powerful. You play as a mother who's been infected by a zombie bite, and you know that your time is running out. But you're not just trying to survive for yourself, you've got your young son with you. So the whole game becomes really this concept of teaching him the skills he's going to need when you're gone. You're basically a walking, ticking time bomb. You're slowly deteriorating, and every day matters. And that's what really stood out to me. It's the tone and this world. The visual style as well, minimalistic, almost storybook-like, but it actually helps, in my opinion. The emotional beats, they just land harder because it's very easy to put yourself in their situation, and that gives the game, I don't know, a weight that most zombie titles don't attempt. Rune is 83% off. That's a new low price. This one is a banger. I love this game. If you're even remotely into cyberpunk settings, honestly, do yourself a favor, pick it up. You will not regret it. Now, we've seen this price once before in the US and Canada, but for pretty much everyone else, this is the best it's ever been. It is a fast, stylish, twin-stick shooter set in the year 2091, and you are dropped right into this neon-drenched, corrupt future where mega corporations, they run everything. Now, you play as this silent, masked sociopath, and basically, you are trying to find your brother. They've been kidnapped. Now, you've got this hacker friend, or not so much friend, this mysterious stranger, I guess, helping you throughout. But the gameplay is just about carving a very violent path through gangs, mercenaries, cyber freaks, and just some incredible boss battles. The gameplay is brutal. Think melee weapons, guns, dashes, shields, tons of upgrades. It's all about tailoring that approach, and it just feels incredible. Plus the story actually as well, not bad. This revenge tale wrapped in corporate conspiracy. It actually does the genre very well. Buried Stars then is 75% off, a new low price. This is one for the visual novel fans out there. Now look, I'll be honest, it's a genre that doesn't really always click with me personally, but this game absolutely hooked me. I enjoyed it so much, in fact, I actually imported a physical copy, which I almost never do with visual novels. It's just that well presented. Now the art style leans heavily into anime influences, but the real strength here is the mystery setup. You're auditioning for a survival-themed TV show when the entire studio, it collapses. It leaves you and a group of contestants trapped inside. Tensions, however, rise very quickly when a murder takes place, and now you're trying to work out who amongst you is responsible. There's basically someone dangerous in this room, and the game, it leans right into that paranoia and uncertainty. And what makes it stand out for me is how interactive it is. A lot of visual novels are very passive, but this one has you digging through social media feeds, using live-streamed footage, and piecing together clues as this mystery unfolds. There's also then multiple endings to uncover, dependent on basically what you choose, and yeah, really good experience, well worth a look. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma then is 35% off, a new low price. Just a quick note before we do get into this, the price you see at the top of the screen is for the Switch 2 build. If you pick it up on the Switch 1, it's actually around $6 to $7 cheaper or your regional equivalent. This though, lovely little game. Honestly, it launched day one on Switch 2, that's when I played it myself. And yeah, it's classic Rune Factory through and through, that blend of cozy life sim alongside action and adventure. And that's what I've always liked about this series. You're kind of free to lean into whichever part you enjoy most. You know, if farming and crafting isn't your thing, you can spend more time dungeon crawling, fighting enemies, unlocking abilities. Now, if you do like the cozy elements, you can rebuild not just a single village, but multiple communities, while then exploring these different seasonal events. Now, story-wise, you're going to be stepping into the role of a guardian, someone tasked with restoring the balance of Azuma after corruption is spread across the land. So expect to be gathering resources, helping rebuild settlements, and working alongside a cast of characters you can befriend and even romance. So yeah, it's very much that Rune Factory charm. I play kind of a combination of cozy and action. And yeah, it really works for me. On the Switch 2 version as well, expect here sharper resolution, smoother frame rates, and even support for mouse-style controls. YOHANE the PARHELION, Blazing the Deep Blue then is 55% off, a new low price, and this one's based on the Love Live series. Honestly, you don't need to know anything about that universe to enjoy it because I've never seen it either. I have, however, played a lot of the YOHANE spin-off games and they've all been surprisingly solid, this one included. So yeah, this one's a full Metroidvania, and it throws you straight into this dungeon where your main goal is to rescue your friends. Now narratively, it's not especially deep, but the setup does exactly what it needs to. What is really fun here though is how those friends become actual gameplay tools. So every time you save a character, they turn into a new ability that you can equip in combat or use for traversal. So the more you explore, the more that moveset evolves, and it gives the whole adventure this great sense of momentum. There are then plenty of locations to uncover, a crafting and casting system to upgrade your skills, and a steady drip feed of new abilities that keeps the experience feeling fresh. Enter the Gungeon then is 76% off, a new low price, and yeah, this one's a classic at this point. We did get Exit the Gungeon as a 2D follow-up, which was definitely fun in its own way, but nothing quite hits like this original. And with a true sequel now on the way, hopefully 2026, so I wouldn't be shocked if it slipped into 2027. I think now is the perfect time to revisit it. Now, if you've somehow never played Enter the Gungeon, it's one of the best bullet hell dungeon crawlers ever made. You're basically choosing from this small cast of misfits, each with their own starting gear, and you'll be then fighting your way through floors that are packed with enemies, traps, secrets, and just some absolutely wild weapons. And when I say wild, I mean everything from precision shooters to completely ridiculous joke guns, but still, they all feel great to use. Now, story-wise, it's deliberately light. It's all built around the Gungeon. This is a place rumored to house a gun that can kill the past. So basically, every run is really just about diving deeper, looting better gear, and mastering the chaos. Can you find that end location? But yeah, expect some serious challenge, but you won't regret it. Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 then are both 60% off, matching the low prices, and this is just quickly to highlight them because Octopath Traveler 0 right around the corner now, and there's actually a demo for that release live on the eShop, so definitely give that a look. And having played it at Gamescom, I will say personally, I do think it's going to be a really just strong return for the series. Now, I will say if you want to play both of these, it's going to be very difficult. Prior to that releasing at the beginning of December, you're looking at 120 hours combined. But if you've never jumped in, I think these prices, it makes it a great moment just to get started. And both games really follow the same core idea. It's 8 different protagonists, each with their own storyline, and eventually those narratives, they intersect. Won't go into too much detail. Definitely check out reviews for these particular games. They are very deep RPGs, but in my opinion, well worth the time. Alright, our penultimate game and a modern masterpiece, Dragon Quest XI-S Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. Long ass name, but like it's 50% off, matches the low price, and honestly, one of the best JRPGs ever made. It's been on the Switch since 2019, so it's had a long life on the system, but it still holds up beautifully. And at this point, I think we're all just waiting for a sequel, but if you've never played this, do it. You won't regret it. Now here, you're playing as the hero destined to face an ancient evil, and the story begins with you setting out from your quiet hometown before very quickly being thrown into a much bigger conflict. It's classic Dragon Quest. It's warm, it's charming, it's surprisingly emotional. Gameplay-wise though, it's turn-based combat done at just an incredibly high level. You're managing a full party, swapping characters in and out mid-fight. You're using abilities with different elemental strengths. It's all here. The combos between party members, the list goes on. Exploration as well, a huge part of the experience. Towns, fields, dungeons, all of them designed to feel lively and colourful. And then finally, I think one of the coolest Switch-specific features is that you can meet these special creatures that let you travel into 16-bit versions of the areas you're exploring. It sounds like a gimmick, but it's actually a brilliant little nostalgia trip and a really fun way to see this world from a completely different angle. So yeah, massive adventure, tons of content, and some of the best pacing in the genre. Alright, so our winners of the week then, they are on screen right now. Congrats both. Email me for your $10 eShop gift card, and everyone else, drop a comment down below for your chance to win in next Saturday's video. Our final game then is One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 Deluxe Edition, and look, I don't normally recommend Deluxe Editions, but the base game isn't on sale, and there's a very specific reason I wanted to highlight this one. You know, Deluxe Edition's normally cosmetic junk, but Hyrule Warriors, it's doing real numbers right now. I'm playing through it myself, really enjoying it, and I think a lot of people are starting to kind of get into the formula, you know, 1 versus 1,000, screen packed with enemies, big flashy abilities. Yes, it can burn you out for sure, but when it hits, it really hits. And I think Pirate Warriors 4 is genuinely It's one of the better entries in the genre. I think it just uses the One Piece world really well. But the real reason it's on this list today is because on the 21st of this week, it's getting a free Switch 2 upgrade. And that's why I think this sale actually makes sense, because we may not see it now for a little while. I actually fully expect this patch as well to bring 60 FPS, higher resolution, sharper image quality, the whole lot. But of course, that's just me guessing. Like, I will have coverage here on the channel as soon as it drops. And that's the video done. What will you be adding to the library this week? Let me know in the comments. With that then, do me a favor, hit subscribe if you enjoyed this one. Helps out the channel a huge amount. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers all.